Timed that badly, didn't I? Having a cup of tea. I'm having a cup of tea. How very British. Hey everyone, welcome to another video. We are on Roadcraft and we're on the PlayStation 5. This is continuing from my last video, episode 20. And I ended it saying that I may or may not be filling this gap on video. It might be a little bit boring. And as you can see, I kind of started filling said gap off video purely because this thing was parked like in that gap sort of there, on the tarmac in front of the by the bulldozer in front of the grader, right? And it again, right, decided to, well, it either decided just to roll off on its own or whatever, or the handbrake decided to come off, right? Because I wasn't actually, I try my hardest to remember to put the handbrake on every vehicle, because they have a tendency of just going off and doing their own thing, right? And that's what I'd done on this one. I swear I did, right? So I was faffing getting some editing from said previous video on the go, so I'm kind of trying to multitask. I looked round and this poxy bloody machine had decided to start rolling and fell into the fucking pit. Go me. How clever. Anyway, hello, welcome to another video. I genuinely, I look at some of my some of the stuff, especially on this game, right, of what I have managed to achieve in the way of cock-ups and what on earth is going on levels, right? And it's like, sorry, the cat's trying to compete with me. I honestly, I think if I were watching this on a YouTube, if this was somebody else's channel, I was watching it, I'd be like, oh, shut up, there's no way you're not doing this deliberately. You know what I mean? You're not deliberately going out of your way to cock up. I'm not. This is all just happening, right? Whether it's for my absolute total and utter incompetency in this game or what, I do not know, right? But I am not deliberately, again, thank you, I'm not deliberately doing this stuff, alright? It's, dude, if I knew that by doing this stuff and then filming it, I would be getting likes and clicks and stuff like that, do you know what I mean? If I knew that that was going to work, of course I would go out of my way to cock up, I would go out of my way to do these kind of things, right? But because they're not, you know, they're not making any difference to my viewing levels or anything. Finally, he says, still not going to be able to get out though, am I? Yeah, this is purely me just playing the game. This is purely me being at my clearly really bad level of play, right? This is me. I'm not trying. I'm trying to play the game. So yeah, wow, it's great fun. Anyway, hi, welcome to another video. And if you haven't already, please, it would be lovely if you could like and subscribe. I genuinely mean honest, I have now started to try and get into the habit of saying it at the beginning of each of my videos. But yeah, please, it would be lovely. It doesn't cost you anything. I think it's because it's the wording subscribe. You need to subscribe. It's a subscription. You know, and as such, it means that you have to pay like a monthly charge or something. You don't. You really don't. There is no money involved whatsoever at all. You know what I mean? You do not pay to subscribe to me, all right? trust me, I wouldn't expect you to pay to subscribe to me. My content is not worthy. It's really not worthy. I would ask for my money back. You know what I'm saying? All right, I'm in absolutely no illusions. I have no illusions of grandeur. I know I'm yeah. All right, so it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. I think people may get confused with the whole oh, but your channel's monetized, and oh, I'm monetized on my channel because I'm just so fucking popular. Bastards. Not jealous at all. Do you know what I mean? I have tens of thousands of popular videos and tens of thousands of people watching because I'm just so amazing and I'm so popular. Yes, all right, love it. Rub it in. I would love to be there. Not jealous at all. Bitter much. So no, my channel is not monetized. I do not receive any kind of cash incentive, cash rewards, anything at all by you guys liking and subscribing and commenting and doing what you would do. All right, honestly. And there is no, I think the only real comeback on you actually subscribing to my channel is that yes, you may get notifications of me uploading another video, for which you can ignore. You can actually turn those notifications off, so it doesn't matter. All right, you can come and go as you please. You know, there is no no expectations from you at all, other than it would just be a really, really nice thing for you, for me, if you hit that like and subscribe button. So please do it. Honestly, please, I'm begging you. Nobody loves me. Anyway, yes. At the end of my previous video, if you haven't already, please go and watch it. Even, like, literally just the end, like 10-15 minutes of it. I saying about the fact that I genuinely do not try to cock up. It just happens, yeah. The end of the last video is a classic example of that, because I was able to flip over two completely different vehicles, one of which is this one, whilst practically standing still on a flat road without any obstacles. Genuinely, absolutely genuinely, I managed to flip this one whilst trying to drive it up on top of a trailer, or on top of one of the loaders, because I thought, you know, it would be safer if I drove it onto the loader, because that way I won't run the risk of it falling over. Yeah, so how did that work out for you, mate? It's great. And then the second one was the little mule truck with the crane. I thought, I know, I'll use that to basically pull this upright, because, you know, that it should be able to do it. No, it just, I ended up flipping that one as well. So yes, shit show ensued. Whoa, alright mate, calm down. You know, you're gonna get back in here again, aren't you? No, just... Oh. This is why I wasn't actually going to record this. Because it's not the most thrilling. of things. Handbrake. Right. Squeeze through there. No, apparently not. Apparently not. Oh my goodness, please. Just... come on. See, the last time I did this was, funny enough, still on this map, and it was down at the port. It was, and I filled the, it was almost like a figure of 8 area that was just 2 great big craters, for want of a better word. And, you know, I ended up tarmacking them over and stuff. So this is that, but this is gonna need way more. Luckily, I'm in the refill sand quarry radius, because having to drive away to reload every time would just be awful. My goodness, that'd be a nightmare. I think I would genuinely try and find a different way around it. And yes, my chair is still squeaking, and yes, I should still keep on plugging the fact that I really need, for the health and safety of my back and my arse, as well as my sanity and my hearing, because doing all that shit. Yeah, I really should just keep on going. Please, please, please. Somebody out there that's involved with a gaming chair company. You know, if you were like, oh, go on then, I'll tell you what, we'll send you one. You know, you can be a brand ambassador. All 20, you know, subscribers, because, you know, but you know what I mean. And I would be so happy to be. I would actually have. I would almost change. I would upgrade my opening screen to have the advert of whichever chair it is I'm using. You know, if I was that happy with the chair, and it was, I'd sit in this chair and I'd be like, oh my goodness, this is just bliss. You know, the type. It's the ones they always advertise, isn't it? You know, oh look, it's like sitting on a cloud full of cushiony, cloudy stuff. You know, it's as soft can be. If it was any softer, it'd be illegal. I'm not sure why, but you know. But yeah, that's where I'm at, and it's like. So yeah, anybody knows of a gaming chair company that are willing to take a risk? Do you know what? To be honest, even if it was a refurbed chair that's been sent back by a customer for whatever reason, you know, or yeah, just a returns one that and you've just refurbed it. I'm not, you know, I don't mind. It's got to be better than what I'm fucking sat on at the moment. And quieter. I'm reversing. I mean, for all its faults, that giant dumper, yeah, all its faults, its only fault is the fact that it can't hold its beer. You know what I mean? But it's one massive saving grace, and it literally is a massive saving grace, is the fact that it's massive, and the fact that its capacity is awesome. Damn it, I didn't refill it. Is brilliant. Do you know what I mean? So doing this kind of faffy filling area with sand kind of job really doesn't take as long. Whoa. Well, that would have been really cool had that made an actual splash when it landed. Yeah, it luckily, because it's such a massive capacity, and it does actually take like seconds to refill, which is amazing. Yeah, it doesn't take very long to do this type of job, thank goodness. Cup of tea while I'm waiting. Oh. I'm still trying to work out. Yeah, see, I'm gonna have to go wider than just this like single pavement line, I'm thinking. I don't know. Obviously I'm not going to fill the whole thing in because that'd just be stupid. Why is that taking so long? Excuse me. Will it? No. So, there you go. Bit miffed about that bit in the corner there. Not that it's in the way, it's just untidy. Untidy. The whole place is a fucking disaster zone. Literal disaster zone. I'm actually going to have to carry it on as well, because you can guarantee the AI isn't going to like that, those divots. Seems annoying. Well, it is to me. Sorry, I think the dog's just farted. Get out. Wow. It's either that, or we've just this game has just suddenly developed a fourth dimension, which is smell-o-vision, and we've clearly hit the main sewers. She don't care. For a dog that is from, I say hunting breed, but a tracking breed, yeah, she's a beagle. Yeah. She can smell food from a quarter of a mile away. But she claims, and I say claims because, you know, she can't smell her own fart. Honestly. I have genuinely seen her toot and then look round in like shock and disgust, like literally like, oh, what was that? What's going on? And look at the cat as if to say, God, you filthy beast. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Of course, the cat just looks at her as if to say, darling, don't you know that we all know that one doesn't fart, one doesn't break wind, one barely perspires. Butter wouldn't melt in my mouth, let alone from my arse. I am as pure can be, and Mummy says so, because Mummy clearly loves me more than she loves you. That's actually the truth. Even though the dog is hers. Come on. It's chucking it down. It's not actually. We're in. See, a billion years ago, like probably not even a decade ago, we here in England, and I think I've mentioned this before about the difference in the weather maps, and the way they are portraying the heat, the temperatures. And it's almost like they're going out of their way to scaremonger, and it's like, no, look, the world really is burning. We're in the shit. We're all going to die. You know, it's awful. We need to do something now, kind of thing. It's weird because it is an absolutely beautiful, glorious day whilst I'm sat indoors like an idiot. It is the 18th of June 2025, right? So we're enjoying a good week of absolutely beautiful sunny weather. Absolutely crap if you're a gardener, and especially for the farmers, because they had like yet another absolutely atrociously wet winter, and now when they really need the rain, it's not happening. It's just, you know, some of the driest periods we've had in God knows how long. Sod's law. Yeah. But for us mere mortals, it is a beautiful day. It is a genuinely beautiful day. I think it's, hang on, what's my computer saying? 22 degrees. Yeah. So it's not even, well, for me it's hot, but then that's another story, you know. That's just whatever. But back in the day, that would be nothing to me. You know, that'd be the perfect temperature. And it is. I've been outside, I've done stuff, and it is beautiful, absolutely glorious out there. But what I'm trying to say is the weather reports and stuff, yeah. And I've seen this. Some other people have posted, have done posts and done clips and shorts and just images and all that kind of thing, all over loads of different social media. showing, so like back in, even like I said, the beginning of the 2000s, yeah, and even later than that, weather report, map of Britain, and it's green with temperatures of 21, 22, you know, that kind of thing, right? The same map of Britain today in 2025 showing the exact same kind of temperatures, 21, 22, and it's blood red. It's like burning red, you know. It's like we are in the midst of the worst heat wave since records began, you know. And it's like, we please be careful, and they're putting out warnings for people, you know, how to cope in this unbearable desert style heat and stuff like that. And it's like, it hasn't changed. The heat hasn't changed. The type of heat hasn't changed. Yes, we may have a few longer days of sunny weather occasionally, but to be honest, even back at when I was a lad, you know, when I was at school, we'd be, especially at this time of the year, when we're all sat there doing like all of the youngsters that are doing their exams, and good luck to everybody that is doing exams, or if you know anybody that has got exams going on. Like over here in England, it's the GCSEs. So yeah, absolutely 100% good luck to every one of you. I know that the pressure to get good grades nowadays is even higher than it was when I was at school. You know, it's bizarre, and completely unfair. It really is unfair. It's not good. So anyway, yeah, we'd be sat either prepping, or we'd be in an exam or whatever, or in class, you know, and you're looking out wistfully, longing for break time and stuff like that. And it's a beautiful, glorious day. I mean, where we were, when the school I was in, we had blazers. Not because it was posh; it was just part of the school uniform. Trust me, it was a public school. It was literally a comprehensive school. It wasn't a private school. It wasn't a posh school or anything else. It was just your bog standard. Everybody goes to this school, all right? But the uniform for the lads was a blazer, and big, thick, heavy 1980s blazers. So we'd be sat in this kind of weather and hoping that the headmaster would put the call out saying, yeah, all right, I've decreed that the weather is warm enough that you can take your blazers off. Honestly, that's what we were brought. That's how we would our school would run, right? And it was like, oh, thank you, and you know, if you were lucky, they might even turn around saying, yes, you might even be allowed to wear short sleeves or roll your sleeves up. All right. But the temperature was still the same. It was still just 20 degrees or 22 degrees. You know, that hasn't changed. You know, the temperatures don't go up and down like inflation. You know, so when you watch the news reports and you watch the weather reports nowadays, and they're all like doom and gloom, and it's like, oh my god, it's like the hottest day, the longest, hottest stretch since records began, and we're not going to be able to cope with it. It's literally the mainstream media just doing their best to push the doom narrative of global warming and all of that, and just doing everything they can to make it look and to as bad as possible, and to make the general population believe in what they are being told, as in, you must do away with fossil fuels, you must do away, you've got to go to solar powers, you've got to go to wind, because that's the only way we're going to save this planet. and it's not bullshit. I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong. And I'm quite happy to, and I probably will during a video. It might even be this one. I don't know. But you know, it's not that I don't believe in the this whole, oh my god, we're on the verge of global extinction because of global warming, and you know the only way we're going to be able to turn it around is if we stop breathing and kill all the cows because they're evil creatures that just fart indiscriminately. You know, and they are going to be the sole downfall of mankind. You know what I mean? So when history is written, you know, why did mankind die? Oh, it's because cows farted. You know, it's got nothing to do with all these billions of people flying around on jet aeroplanes everywhere, especially the governments. Yeah, especially those of them that are out there preaching to us that we have to be green, we have to be more eco-friendly, we have to watch what we're doing, whilst they're in a fucking great big jet aeroplane moving it all over the world, going to another little soiree. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the hypocritical bastards need to just wind their neck in and maybe concentrate on speaking to some of the other countries in this world that are creating the pollution that is killing this planet or harming this planet more than others. Yeah, because there are countries out there, ours included, that are doing what they can to limit the amount of impact that we have. Yeah, and to try and do our best to stop all this global warming. Yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, the percentage of impact that Britain has compared to other countries, it's like, what is it, like 0 point something percent or 1% or something stupid. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying we should be just like a lot of these countries where they're all like, do you know what, fuck it, we're just going to go back 100% back to, or not even back, they haven't even changed. But yeah, then, you know, a lot of them are like, yeah, screw that, we'll just do what we want to do kind of thing. I'm not saying that, because we can all do our bit. It's just that the way I promised I wouldn't go political, but I can't help it on this one. But the way our government is pushing this narrative of the global warming and we need to be green and we need to do this and we need to do that is completely wrong. Because they're like, oh, you know, we need to completely smother every decent stretch of agricultural land, every bit of beautiful green land that has green nature in it, that is actually part and parcel of helping keep the air clean and the skies clear, you know, all that kind of thing. No, we'll kill all that off and cover it in man-made solar panels from countries that are not only completely and utterly ignoring the whole global warming thing, yeah, then and just pumping out more pollution than anyone else on the planet, e.g. China, right? So they're pushing for us to do that, but whereas, you know, and we're buying all these solar panels and everything else from these countries that don't give a shit. So they're having a laugh because we're paying them to continue to screw over the planet just so that we can virtue signal by saying, oh, but we've got solar panels, we're doing really well. And at the same time, killing our ability and removing our ability to help protect the planet by using, like, you know, by encouraging agriculture and encouraging green land, as in, like, you know, land that is green, not the not the country, land, continent. Is it a continent? You know what I mean? So it really pisses me off. There are countries out there, and my goodness, am I ever jealous of them, because they are just decades ahead of us. You know, they're just so far ahead of us in intelligence. You know, in that they, yes, they're going all out for the solar power. Yes, they're going all out for wind and turbines and bioenergy and all that kind of thing. But what they're doing is they're putting these solar panels, they're actually putting them on the roofs of car parks. They're putting them on the roofs of giant warehouses. They're putting them on houses. You know, they're putting them on car parks rather than destroying land just to put these solar panels down. You know, that's where we're going wrong. That's the problem. I have absolutely no issue with solar panels or solar power, green power, wind turbines. And none of that. I am 100% for it. Yeah, to the point of my little pipe dream is to live in a nice little secluded place out in the middle of nowhere, in the countryside, and to be as close as off-grid as I possibly can. And that means having my own solar power, having a little wind turbine, you know, and maybe even a bio thing or whatever. Yeah, I even love the idea of hydrogen. Yeah, so I'm fucking full on. I'm up for it, right? But that's where they need to go. This is where any government, right, if they want to win over the general population and all the naysayers that, you know, that are like, oh, this global warming is bullshit. It's just, you know, another virtual signal kind of thing. It's rubbish. They want to win those ones over. They need to do it by doing all of these things with the solar power and the wind turbines and stuff like that, by putting them in places, like I said, on the roofs of these giant warehouses. I mean, look at your distribution centres that you get on the side of motorways nowadays, you know, and your Amazon stores and everything else that take up literal acres of land. Yeah, it's just one giant building. Right, the amount of roof space that they have that could hold solar panels is the equivalent to a decent agriculturally viable bit of land, you know, and it would create just as much energy. So yeah, this is where they're going wrong, and this is what needs to change. Stop ruining the countryside. Stop killing the agricultural land and other land, you know, other green land, by putting all these solar farms on there, because they're crap, they're ugly, and they're disgusting. Put them in industrial areas. Put them on the roofs of buildings. Put them in places like green sites and grey sites and car parks and stuff like that. And the same with the wind turbines. Now, I think, God blimey, it must be a few years back now. And like I said, I am 100% into renewable energy. Always have been. I think it's a great idea if it's done right. And wind turbines. So whenever anybody thinks of wind turbines, they're all like, oh, it's those massive, great big wind turbines that you see smashed all over the place or dotted all over the place, you know, and they only have a limited thing. Or you've got the giant wind farms out on the ocean and stuff like that that people don't want to see, even though they're miles out and you probably can't see them. This program I watched, again, it was I have no idea, it was on YouTube, and they were basically no, wrong one. It was saying about again, it was a company in Europe, probably like Sweden, Denmark, or somewhere like that, you know, and they've created they had created all these different types of wind turbines. Yeah, and like they were trying them out, seeing which one works, which one doesn't, that kind of thing. And they had created these ones, and they were proven to work. And they actually had this incredible, for the size of them, the power output. I can't remember actual figures or anything else. I just remember it being incredibly energy efficient, right? And it was for. But it was built for residential houses, yeah. So residential houses that have like your triangular type roof, you know, standard type build, and these wind turbines run along the length of the top of the roof from one end of the house to the other, yeah. So in a line, and they're just and they're just literally these little sort of discs, or some are like an Archimedes screw kind of shape, you know, or like a propeller type, as in like a motorboat propeller type thing, you know, or just like I said, a screw type shape, right? And they run the length of the building, the roof, on a pole. And they're spinning. They're almost constantly because they're high enough to catch the wind. Yeah, even on a calm day, up on the roof, there's going to be enough breeze to make these things move on a good day, right? And that's what they were doing. And because they were so low profile, and they were up on the roof of houses, you didn't even know they were there. You would not, unless you just happened to look up, or you know, it was. Something else drew your attention, you genuinely wouldn't even know they were on the roof of these houses, right? So and they were putting them on all these residential houses, and the fact is, it's like if you install solar panels on a house now, yeah, and you put them on the roof, which is still a good idea, I think, you know, anything to help drop price of your bills, right, it's got to be a good thing, right? But anyway, it kind of takes quite a bit of work, and you know, and I mean, at the end of the day, your roof. What else are you going to do with your roof? Not a lot, right? So it's fine, and it is the perfect place to put solar panels on your roof. But I'm just saying, it's like, you know, the size of the panels and everything else, compared to these little wind turbine things that were set up on the roofs of these houses on the top, amazing, absolutely amazing. So again, I've always, as soon as I heard about that, I was like, I want that. If I ever did like manage to live the dream and get my little house in the middle of the country and be off grid and do all that kind of shit and have the solar panels and have the batteries, and again, I've seen ways around these rather expensive batteries. But I won't bother going into that. But you know, and my wind turbines, I would have these kind of wind turbines, absolutely, because they're just so. It was low profile, cheap to make. That was the thing. Yeah, they were. I think it was even literally. I think they went as far as using recycled plastic to build to build the actual fans and stuff like that. And then they sit on this pole from one end of the house to the other and just spin, and that generates, turns it around and generates power. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And so again, so if you have that as well as your solar panels on your roofs, it's not. I mean, over here in this country, it's like, oh yeah, we have like 2 days of sunshine. Okay, so we have 2 days of sunshine. Um, in those 2 days of sunshine, your solar panels will work to hopefully 100% capacity, or as close as, right? During the winter, it's probably down to like 50%, but it's still 50%. You know what I mean? They're still generating some kind of energy, some kind of output, right? Even if it's negligible, right? We're not talking enough to power the grid from one house, but if an entire town or village had solar power, solar panels on each one of their roofs of their houses, yeah, you're not taking any more space up than you would if you decided to build a giant solar farm outside a town. Yeah, everybody in those houses would benefit from lower bills straight off the bat, and there would be even during the winter there would be enough energy to potentially help, support the grid. I mean, like I said, during the winter it's a different kettle of fish, because obviously, when it's cloudy, and there's always that saying like, these people that are against solar panels and stuff like that, oh, what about when it's when the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow? It's like, well, that's a quiet night. You know what I mean? So because you will still be able to generate some level, even if it's not a lot, still generate some level of energy when the sun isn't shining directly onto a solar panel. Yeah. They're photosensitive. They're not, like, they don't need they work best with direct sunlight. Of course they do, but they don't need direct sunlight. And this is a thing that they need to prove. They need to prove that is the case. They need to show people. It's like, look, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have, right? And to me, solar power and wind turbines and stuff like that is something that we should have, even if we don't need it. As in, like, we still have enough gas and we still have enough coal and stuff like that available, which we do. Yeah. But I just don't see where the harm is in having both. Really don't. We are so reliant on energy as a human race that it's impossible for this whole net zero thing. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. And it will never happen. It will not in anyone's closest lifetime. Right? It's not going to happen. Nobody is going to achieve net zero unless they started going down the route of what I was talking about. Putting solar power panels on every single roof building in cities, in villages, in towns, industrial areas, all that kind of thing, and utilizing these kind of rooftop wind turbines, all that kind of thing. Do all that, then yes, it's going to go a long way towards lowering the amount of carbon footprint that we have. But then obviously the other argument is making the solar panels. The wind turbines not so much, because like I said, these little ones that that I was seeing, a lot of them are made from recycled materials. Fantastic, brilliant. Whereas obviously solar panels, not so much. But then, there's always that, you've got those other ones like the bio generation, like the digestates and stuff like that. I was watching farming video, Tom Pemberton. You should watch his stuff sometimes, it's really good. He was in Germany and he was on one of this massive, beautiful dairy farm. and apparently the guy was saying that in pretty much the whole of Germany, it's encouraged on agricultural land to use digestates. So it's basically waste matter, green matter, to run generators for power, and the amount of power that they were generating is in the kilowatts. I think one of the generators he said up the road was megawatts, or whatever it is. It was a lot. I always get those two mixed up. But yeah, because Tom was like, "Geez, you're making how much?" So yeah, and like every roof on this farm, every roof on his farm, every shed had it had solar panels. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's a bonus for them because obviously initially whatever energy is created by those solar panels is used by the site that has the solar panels, and then anything else gets put into the grid. Yeah. And this guy was saying that all his solar panels and everything else, again, he's making like on an average day, and not just, I'm not talking like a hot, sunny, clear day, just an average day, they could be making kilowatts of energy. And not one solar panel is on any of his actual like land. They're not in his fields, they're just on the roofs. They're out of the way. They're utilizing dead space. So yeah. And of course, wind turbines, for us, right, here in England, we're an island, and in the grand scheme of things, we're a very small island, right? And an island, literally by description, is a plot of land that is completely surrounded by water. Tidal energy, tide comes in all around the world at least twice a day. Yeah. The port near me down here on the south coast is Southampton, and that has, I think it has, is it 3 or 4 tides? I know it has. Yeah, it's, you know what I mean. It has more. I don't know how that is, but it does. So the water's constantly moving, and you often see them like every now and again somebody will come up with this innovative new design, and they're going to trial it for for tidal energy and stuff like that, and it's like, but then you never hear any more of it, and you never hear of it becoming a mainstream endeavour. At the moment it makes me laugh, because at the moment our country would rather pay tens of thousands or more money to import electricity from France. There's an actual power station near me on an old airfield that is literally built specifically for that, to take to have the delivery of energy that is piped in, electricity that is piped in from France. It's ridiculous, and yet here we are. Like I said, we live on, we're an island. What's wrong with trying to develop more tidal generators, these wave generators and all this? What's wrong with that? Where's the heart? Why have we not done that? Why is it not something that is encouraged? Just baffles me, I'll tell you. I mean, we all know, if you're into, I can't even say conspiracy theories, because it's not a conspiracy, it's fucking truth, but we all know that governments around the world, every single one of them will, they're not looking out for their country, they are looking out for themselves as individuals and as parties, right? We all know that, that's obvious. Anybody that doesn't believe that is painfully naive, and good luck to them, right? And that's the problem, and that is literally where the problem lies. If we could get people in power who genuinely wanted, to do better for their country, and there are occasional people out there, but unfortunately there's either not enough of them, or they're not in high enough places of position. Not enough high enough power, right? There are people out there that genuinely want to make a change. They genuinely want to help. They genuinely want to make things better, right? That's why they go into politics. That's why they do what they do, right? There are genuinely people out there, but like I said, there's not enough of them, and they are not in high enough places of position to be able to have any impact whatsoever. And that's the problem. That's the real problem. If a government had the balls to actually turn around and be like, do you know what, we do genuinely want to look out for our country, we genuinely want to do what's right for our country, because a happy workforce is a happy workplace. It's that kind of thing. And it's true, because it's like, even to pay for it all, right? Okay, so it's got to be paid for somehow, right? A lot of it could be paid for by companies and stuff like that, because obviously they would benefit in the long run because of cheaper bills and stuff like that, which would then cascade down to the consumer, right? As in, like, it's cheaper goods because they're not paying for their bills and so on and so forth, right? But ultimately there will always be taxes, because things need to be paid for. If the taxes that are asked of us were seen to be viable, and it's like, yes, if I pay this tax, I know this money's going to go to good use, people won't ever complain about paying these taxes. But when they are seen, these taxes are either not going anywhere, or they are seen to be going to things that are useless, or things that aren't even connected to our own country, things that genuinely aren't going to do the country any good, that's when people get pissed off. That's when people start to lose their rags. And unfortunately, that's exactly what's happening here at the moment. But I am 100% behind green energy, renewable energy. I think it's a fabulous thing, but it's just not being utilised in the right way, or rather it's not being set up in the right way at the moment. It's not being sold in the right way at the moment, not in this country anyway. Absolutely not. It literally is being shown as an utter frivolous waste of time and waste of money, which the way they're doing it and the way they're running it, it is. Yet, like I said, if you follow the suit of other countries, and I'm talking about countries in Europe, I'm not talking about countries that are 99% sunshine all year round. I'm talking, we're talking Northern Europe countries. They have their solar powers, their panels on grey sites. They have them on the roofs, they have them in the car parks, and so on and so forth, like I said, and it works. That's what we need to do. That's what they did that, then people would be behind the solar power a lot more than they are at the moment. At the moment, it's just being done completely wrong. And another one, going on about wind turbines, I'm not sure if it is here. I doubt it. But again, definitely in places in Europe, there are small cylindrical wind turbines that are placed either on the side of roads or in the central reservations of like motorways and stuff, and just the wind force from the vehicles passing by turns the generators. So again, it's a great source of wind and and using space and land that would otherwise not be touched. You know, it's a completely dead bit of ground. You know, middle of the motorway. No one's going to build on that. No one's going to do anything. You know, it's a stretch of land, and you know, unless they shut the motorway down for whatever reason, there's always vehicles going past, and you know what it's like. You just walk down the road and a truck or a bus drives past you doing the speed limit in town, and you feel the rush of wind. You know, you can feel that force even more so if you're on the road and you're on a bike or on a motorbike or something like that, and a large vehicle goes past you. Yeah, so you know that what it's like. So having these wind turbines in the middle of the roads and on the side of the road blew my mind when I heard about that. Blew my mind. It's like, it's one of those, oh my god, why didn't anybody else think of that? So simple, so obvious, brilliant. Anyway, wow, I did not intend on going down that route. Should I tidy that up? Can I be asked? Nah. Yeah, I did not intend on going down that bit of a chat, but that was really cool. That was, and it wasn't even a rant. Well, it was a rant, but it wasn't a rant. Does that make any sense? It's just my opinion on green energy and renewable energy, and the fact that I believe it works, and it has been proven to work. But the way it's implemented and the way it's sold to us and the way it's been forced on us here in England is why there is such a negative pushback against it, and the way they're laying it out, and like I said, they're putting it on all the agricultural land and stuff like that, when it should be put on roofs and it should be put on the industrial estates and it should be put in grey areas and stuff like that. So yeah, it's almost like rip up every single solar farm that has been put on prime agricultural land or any green land. Yeah, rip them all up, use those solar panels, chuck them on the roofs, and there you go. Not only have you still got the same amount of solar panels, and you've probably got to have plenty of room for more, yeah, to increase the output, yeah, or the power created, but you also have the agricultural land back, the green land back. It makes sense, and it just winds me up, and it winds everybody else up. And this is the problem. Like I said, this is why there is such a pushback on it. This government especially, but other governments as well. It's not just this government. It's just that this one seems to have gone hell for leather on it. You know what I'm saying? If they were to do it right, people would be praising them. People would be like, yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, please, here, have the roof of my house, have the roof of my business. I've got a multi-story car park. Let's do away with the top floor and cover it in solar panels. It's only one level of car parking. Who cares? It's fine. Do you know? It's anyway. It's never going to happen, unfortunately. Maybe I need to work out which country does it and move there, especially if it's like Norway or Sweden. I'm coming. I love Norway. On that note, thank you very much for listening. Please, 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 be fascinating if anybody has actually listened to any of this. Please leave a comment. I would love to know, are you pro or against green energy, that kind of thing, and why? Yeah. And is it just because the whole, oh, when the sun doesn't shine and the wind doesn't blow kind of argument, or is there more to it? You know, do you have other reasons? I'd be fascinated. I love having these conversations with people. I genuinely do, because it's my opinion from, you know, and I see it from various ways, but you can guarantee there will be somebody out there that has a completely different opinion because they are seeing it from a completely different point of view. And then that it opens up a fantastic dialogue, and that's the kind of conversation I love. I absolutely love it. I love hearing from different people's different points of view and positions and ideas and stuff like that, because then that makes me think, do you know what, I didn't know that, didn't think of that. Thank you very much for enlightening me. Thank you very much for giving me another aspect, another point of view. Yeah, because that's what I've always been brought up about, to do, and to believe and to encourage. And when I was doing my youth work, I always encouraged it, doing you know, sparking up topics of conversation, but getting different young people's opinions across, and allowing them to get their opinion across, but at the same time to value other people's opinions, because it broadens your mind as a person. I'm going too deep now and I'm shutting up. Thank you very much. Love you all. Please leave a comment. Please share this channel and this content, and do not forget to like and subscribe. Trust me, it's worth it. Love you all. Till the next one.